What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Marquee on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this evening. Joining me, as always, is the Streamin Demon himself, Jacob.
Hello, everybody.
We've got Drake.
Hey, how's it going?
And making his return after a long absence, please welcome back Tyler.
Hello, good sir.
And joining us, making her marquee debut, we've got Haylee.
Hello. Sorry, the mute button didn't work. Hello.
So today's episode is going to be interesting. Two films that could not be more different. We've got Jungle Cruise from Disney, and from A24, we've got David Lowery's The Green Knight. We're going to start with Jungle Cruise, the one that all of us here have seen except for Haylee. So this movie, based on the famous Walt Disney World theme attraction, was directed by Jaume Collet-Serra, written by Michael Green, Glenn Ficarra, and John Wequa. And it stars Emily Blunt as Dr. Lily Houghton, who enlists the aid of a wisecracking skipper, Frank Wolf, played by The Rock, to take her down the Amazon in this dilapidated boat. Together, they search for an ancient tree that holds the power to heal, a discovery that will change the future of medicine. So, Tyler, I'm going to start with you because there's a very interesting connection that you made to this movie, and I want you to elaborate on that.
Oh, gladly. Okay, I'm aware of the Jungle Cruise as a ride. You know, it's not really based on history or anything, honestly. That's fine. So going in there, I thought, okay, this is gonna be a fun adaptation of this ride. You know, not much more, not else. So imagine my surprise when the first thing I'm thinking of when this movie starts is, hang on, is this like the Werner Herzog movie Aguilar: The Wrath of God?
What?
Yeah, because the conquistador character is very clearly Lope de Algeria, a real-life historical figure, and the famously depicted figure in the titular movie Aguilar: Wrath of God, played by Klaus Kinski. It was a famous, probably the most famous movie that was done by Werner Herzog, and is considered one of the greatest movies ever made.
And the Rock's biggest fans will definitely catch that reference.
Oh yeah,
Oh, totally.
no, I felt like Roger Ebert when he first reviewed the sequel to Bill and Ted, where he was just aghast that they were now doing an entire 20-minute reference to the Seventh Seal, where it's like, I'm pretty sure no one in this audience is getting these references but me. Was this movie made for me? That level of like disconnect where I'm like, there is no way anyone who is incorporating that person into a movie is not somewhat aware of that movie. And that movie is not Disney friendly. Let me just put it that way.
You know what else isn't quite Disney friendly? Metallica. And
Nope.
it was very shocking to hear an acoustic instrumental version of Nothing Else Matters playing along with the Disney logo. I heard about the story of the, I guess at the time, president of Walt Disney Pictures, Sean Bailey, contacting Lars Ulrich and being like, yo, I'm such a huge fan of you guys. Why don't you collaborate with our composer for something? Because that's the only way you're going to get a Metallica song in a Disney film.
Yeah, Metallica is a very hard band to license their songs for.
And I'll be honest, like I actually really do like this new rendition of that song. And one other strange coincidence is the fact that this year marks the 30th anniversary of the Black Album. So for that to happen like so close to the 30th anniversary is just a wonderful coincidence.
To me, with the rendition of "Smells Like Teen Spirit" in the Black Widow movie, it just kind of feels like somebody at Disney is having a midlife crisis and choosing all their favorite 90s songs.
You know what? Of all the decades to get inspired from, I can't think of a better time than the year 1991.
Yes, although strange including a song from that era in a movie that's explicitly set in 1916.
See, that's the weird part. And I think the only reason it works as well as it does is because James Newton Howard is just that good of a composer.
Oh yeah, I will never say negative things about him and his work. It's just how people use that work can be sometimes a bit confusing.
Yeah, his score was like the only good thing about The Last Airbender.
Yeah, our subject of the second movie would agree with you on that.
So we've talked enough about the music. How about the movie as a whole? Jacob, I'll start with you.
I had a good time with it. Mostly, like, there are times where it does clearly try too hard to ape the Pirates movies. But like when it's just focusing on the adventure aspect of it, it was a fun throwback to explicitly adventure movies like The Rocketeer, which Mike recently did a written review of, which I happily proofread. It's when it focuses on that, like, it has a real sincere sense of adventure to it, and there are enough set pieces here that are just too memorable for me to just write off this movie as just another action flick. I had a good time with it. Personally, The Rock and Emily Blunt have great chemistry together. I like the locales. I like like I said, it's just a fun little adventure flick.
I would have to agree with that too. I think the moments when it does like lean a little bit too heavily into the like we want to be the next Pirates, that's when the film starts to lose me. But when it tips back into that Romance in the Stone, The Mummy, that sort of territory, I think that's when it works the best. We'll get a little bit deeper into the dynamic between The Rock and Emily Blunt in a second, but Drake, your general thoughts?
I wasn't impressed with the movie myself. Like a few of the movies that you listed off, like Pirates of the Caribbean, Romance in the Stone, The Mummy, something that all these movies have is that they at least have a sense of realism in their fantasy, in that they're played on real sets, and then the CGI just adds to the realness. Whereas in the Jungle Cruise, I never once felt like they were actually in the jungle, because they were just in a giant animated world where nothing looked realistic. And it kind of made the action feel a little flat. It felt very low stakes at times, because something that Disney tends to do is they kind of overcompensate with their action scenes, and it just creates a dissonance where you really don't care about the characters, because they're going to be all right no matter how crazy and intense the action scenes get. So overall, wasn't very impressed. The one thing that I do have to praise is Jesse Plemons' performance. This was the movie that pretty much solidified him as my favorite actor right now. He was just fantastic as a eccentric German villain.
Yeah.
I will add one thing though. He's actually a real person.
Oh yeah,
is he really?
What's the name of his character?
Yes, he was supposed to be the historical figure of Prince Joachim Franz Hubert of Prussia, son of Wilhelm II, and very much a real person.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was also.
I'm gonna let you continue with your general thoughts, because one thing I was thinking about, like after I came out of this movie, was, wow, look at all these names of like actual real life conquistadors and and princes, and yet none of this is based on any like actual real events.
No, like I said, the Disney ride doesn't actually even anchor itself to one continent, let alone a time period.
And it's not an incredibly like an accurate ride in terms of how they depict the certain tribes.
Yep.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Oh, that was actually
It's
just
a very
changed this month, wasn't it?
50s view of such tribes, unfortunately.
Yes, it is of the era I'm going to call the Ooga 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 Booga people are cannibal era. So, you know, it's a little dated.
Yeah.
You know, I've never actually been on the ride itself. Do they actually have like a tribe in the ride?
Yes, they have like a tribe of like
Yeah.
cannibals that try to attack the boat, but it's played very comedically.
Yeah,
Okay,
they shoot,
and
like,
I assume they're
guards.
animatronics.
Something like that, yeah.
I think recently they've either talked about removing it or have removed section of it. Yeah.
They've made a couple changes to the ride.
You gotta give the movie this though. Like, it had the balls to include the bad puns, which the guys are just obligated to dish out the puns.
Although most of the references to the ride are actually in the beginning.
Yeah, it's kind of like how in Pirates, that kind of had minimal references to the ride too.
Well, no, that one had actually a decent amount here and there throughout the 3 movies, although by the 4th one, they basically ran out of every scene to copy.
You know, I gotta say, those jokes in 1916 or whenever this movie took place, those jokes would freaking kill, because if you ever read a joke book in the 1910s, nobody understood humor back then, and for The Rock to say something that's just even mildly funny, people would be hysterical. I mean, at the time, the pinnacle of humor was, I will gladly pay you Thursday for a hamburger today, and people thought that was hilarious.
Well, I'd say humor of the era was very dry and sarcastic. A good example would actually be, there was a song that I think it was from 1916, might be 1915 or 17. It was like a British marching song called oh God, I'm gonna blank on the name of the song, but one of the lyrics was, up to your knees in water, up to your eyes in slush, using the kind of language that makes the sergeant blush. Oh, who wouldn't join the army? What do we all inquire? Don't we pity the 4 civilians sitting around the fire? That level of sarcasm.
How do you know that by memory?
Drake, you obviously, like, this is clearly the first time you've been on with Tyler, because obviously he's been with us for a while, and his mind's a freaking encyclopedia of this crap.
Oh, the song was called "Oh, It's a Lovely War." You know, again, sarcasm.
That's kind of like the friend. It was like another British song called "Hinky Dinky Parlez-vous." I know that one.
Yes, there was a lot of black humor and sarcasm that was in the British, obviously because of the war, but like that level of humor was very typical of the 1910s, very dry, witty, sarcastic. If you want to have real fun, you should look up like what Will Rogers' stand-up routines in the 1930s were like. Now that's like ancient history if you look at it from a comedic perspective.
But going back to the movie,
going back to the movie,
I think that's one of the cues to know that this does not take place in any sort of reality. That, no. Like, that all of Dwayne Johnson's puns are like failing in front of this audience is just proof that this takes place in no particular time whatsoever.
Or he's a time traveler.
Because
or like what has a character that says, "What the fresh hell?"
Yeah, that you would never find that anything post like pre-1990. It's a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of anachronistic lines and jokes and humor bits, which, to be fair, the Pirates of the Caribbean did that too, and it was fine.
Yeah, like The Rock is constantly pointing out the fact that Emily Blunt is wearing pants, to the point where he literally calls her pants for like half the movie.
I like to think that's a Katharine Hepburn homage, because she was famous for wearing pants, but that's like the 30s. So
that's right. This movie owes a lot to the African Queen.
That was what I was going to mention too.
Seen.
Yes,
the African Queen. Like The Rock, he really likes to compare his movies to like old Hollywood. Like, I remember Skyscraper, he kept comparing it to like Die Hard and The Towering Inferno, and this one he talked about the African Queen and like the promotion of this movie quite a lot. How he's basically Humphrey Bogart and Emily Blunt is Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah, it's also that movie takes place in World War I as well.
I can kind of see a little bit of Humphrey Bogart in The Rock, but not really. He's not an alcoholic in this one, and she's not like a fundamentalist Christian or anything.
The relationship is similar, but the characterizations are very different.
Now, speaking of the relationship, I said even in my quick thoughts that I do not buy these two as like a romantic couple, like for even a second.
No, their kisses felt kind of forced.
I also don't buy Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as a character from the 1910s. He does not at all look like a person from that era. Especially if you look at bodybuilders from like strongmen from that era, they don't look like The Rock at all.
He definitely looks like the modern version of the strongman.
Yeah. I will say that is something that kept occurring to me throughout the whole movie, which is this movie would be a lot more interesting if the leads were, or at least one of the leads was recast and the roles were switched. Because I think it'd be more. Sorry, I think it's more fun if Emily Blunt was the captain of the ship and someone else was like the scientist trying to figure things out. And I kept going back between, would this be more fun if it was Jack Black or if it was Brendan Fraser?
Speaking of which, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, like we were talking about how anachronistic, like what's the word again?
Anachronistic.
Anachronistic. Yeah, like I think like it kind of reminded me of Jack Black in the King Kong remake.
A bit,
sort of. Although, you want to hear something funny? So Disney has wanted to do a Jungle Cruise movie ever since The Curse of the Black Pearl was like a mega success. And one of the earlier iterations, I think this was around like 2011, was to have Tom Hanks or Tim Allen star in the film.
I cannot see that working. Like Tom Hanks would make it all so wholesome, and I feel like wholesomeness is just missing the point of the ride.
I kind of agree. I kind of hope that this movie was a little grittier.
I don't know. Like, how would this movie compare like to other movies based on the Disney rides, like the Haunted Mansion or Tomorrowland?
Okay,
better than the Haunted Mansion.
I truly forgot Tomorrowland had a movie. That's all I have to offer right now. I'm like, oh, right, that was a thing.
I mean, Jungle Cruise is no Country Bears.
I don't know. I definitely got maybe more enjoyment out of the Country Bears, if I'm to be honest, just because.
Yeah, at least that movie had Christopher Walken going, "Oh no, Country Bear Hole has been crushed."
What other rides are available? What other rides could they use for like a blockbuster movie?
You could do another Tower of Terror.
They could.
Space Mountain.
No,
Expedition Everest.
I'm really excited for the Teacup movie.
Because if they did Expedition Everest, they could actually use a working Yeti.
That's true.
But Disco Yeti ride is so fun.
Well, he would probably be in the movie as like the cousin of the Yeti they're looking for. They're just constantly discoing.
So as far as like the pantheon of Disney theme park movies, not counting the pirate sequels, just so this list isn't too complicated, at the top would be Curse of the Black Pearl.
Well, yes, that is like the most objectively true statement. Like, I don't know how anyone could not say it is.
Then I would say Tomorrowland. It's either myself or PJ Campbell who are like the two biggest defenders of that film.
I gotta disagree with you, Mike. I think the biggest defender is by far Stefan Ellison, Mr. Coat.
Fair enough.
He loves that movie.
It's all right. I respect what it's going for, but I do not think it works. But I respect it at least.
It's at least far more ambitious than the rest of the list, which would be
I would probably
Country
say
Bears and then Haunted Mansion.
Country Bears at least can be enjoyably funny because of Christopher Walken. I can get no enjoyment out of the Haunted Mansion.
Most of the Haunted Mansion's problems, would you say they mostly stem from Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, he was probably the wrong person.
Like, if they just got anyone else, would that have been a better movie?
I don't think it would. I wouldn't put all the onus on Eddie Murphy. I think the fact that they're trying to make it into a family comedy is the problem.
That too, where it's like, this is a ride that demands a PG-13 at least.
Of course, it doesn't help that they gave there's always my way line to Wallace Shawn, who's like the least scary person in the entire world.
That's the thing. Like Jennifer Tilly and Wallace Shawn, all these
Jennifer
comedic
Tilly
actors, but comedians in a Haunted Mansion movie?
Yeah, Jennifer Tilly going, look, I don't make the rules, all right? I just live here.
Yeah, it's just not a great movie. And the worst thing is, it's probably the best Disney ride there ever was. So the blow hurts more.
And I'm really bummed that Guillermo del Toro's movie like never got off the ground.
No, don't worry. They're apparently attempting it again.
Yep, and this time with Lakeith Stanfield and I think it was Tiffany Haddish.
So comedians again.
Wait, hold on. Is this real?
Yeah,
we're really remaking the Haunted Mansion.
Yep, they are doing another Haunted Mansion film.
Okay, I guess that's good because I'm part of the boat where I think they should be remaking bad movies instead of good movies.
Oh yeah, I agree. No human being will sit there and go, "How could you?
Agreed.
How could you deface the classic Haunted Mansion movie?" No, it's gonna say that.
Oh, but what we really should be looking forward to is the Muppets Haunted Mansion, which is coming on Disney Plus in the fall.
I thought you were gonna say the Nightmare Before Christmas Haunted Mansion.
No, that would be awesome. But no, sadly, that nor the Del Toro Haunted Mansion is a reality.
Yeah, the Del Toro one had the most potential, but I'll just file away every movie he's attempted to make but hasn't, and do a probably 200-page novel at this point.
So I'm not really sure what else I have to say about Jungle Cruise other than like I had fun watching it in theaters, but a couple days removed, it's really just kind of
disposable.
Essentially, yeah.
I do know what we should talk about, Mike, about Jack Whitehall's character. He plays Emily Blunt's younger brother.
Oh yeah.
What is this? The 700th Disney's first openly gay character?
I've lost track.
Yeah.
The only thing I have to say about that is watch The Owl House.
Yeah.
I mean, he's more definitively gay than LeFou was, I guess.
At least, there was this one anachronism that I'm glad they did make, is when he basically admits to The Rock that he's gay. The Rock, he's just fine with it. That's one anachronism that I'm cool with.
Yeah, that would have been really awkward if he had gone on.
Even with how sexist he can be in this movie, like he said, "Oh well, my taste lie elsewhere," and then The Rock's like, "All right, go elsewhere." Like he kind of he toasts him, and I thought that was nice.
Yeah, because this is not the movie you could go on a whole extended rant where you have your characters saying derogatory slurs and still have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although it is kind of funny that sexism is okay, but homophobia is where they cross the line.
Yeah, which, if I'm to be frank, I think it would probably be the opposite in the era where it's like, well, women, whatever, but we'll take you. Oh, you're into men? No, we can't have that. That's more the attitude of the era.
Pretty much. Any other final thoughts before we move on?
All I could think of was getting Jack Whitehall made me think should have been either Jack Black or Jack White.
Nice.
Just the name. But I'm not kidding, though. I do think the movie would have been more fun if the roles had been reversed and they had someone else beside The Rock. I like The Rock. He's fine, but you know what you're going to get with him every single time. If it had been like Brendan Fraser, I wouldn't know what I'd get. And that's more interesting to me.
It's a little time waster. Like, you can do worse.
You could do worse on a warm afternoon.
Yeah, just don't expect anything groundbreaking, but the stuff that works really works for me.
Like Jesse Plemons, I didn't mention it, but he's definitely having a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can respect.
Especially when he's talking to bees.
Weirdly, yes.
Plemons is the reason why I still give this a comfortable recommendation.
Paul Giamatti was fun too for how little he was in the movie.
I feel like he was kind of wasted.
Yeah, do not tell anyone that Paul Giamatti's in this movie. It's like saying that Christopher Plummer, who was the guy that was in the beginning of the Star Wars movie that gets killed.
Max von Sydow.
Max von Sydow. It's like saying I'm gonna go watch that new Star Wars movie because Max von Sydow's in it. It's like, no, don't, dude, no, please, don't. It's a better performance than he was in Amazing Spider-Man 2, though.
I will say this,
but it's the same screen time too.
It actually is.
Another thing I gotta add before I move on. The movie really wanted us to think The Rock was gonna die near the end of this.
Has that ever even happened in a movie?
Yeah, when was the last time? Like, how many times has that happened in a Disney movie where they think a character is dead and the characters are all sad and whatever? But then
what's the last time The Rock died? Anything was like
that happened?
The last time I think The Rock died in anything was Get Smart in 2008, where he was the bad guy. That's all I could think of.
And also the twist of who he was dirt stupid.
Yeah, that was
another example of I don't buy that.
Yeah.
Nope.
But it's a fun time. It's a good, like, I enjoyed it for at least the first half of it. But yeah, that's it. Just it's a fun little blockbuster, I guess.
All right.
Emily Blunt got paid.
Yes, Emily Blunt got paid. That is very important.
Drake, final thoughts?
Watch Pirates of the Caribbean. That's
the
all
first one specifically, but also
yes.
Dead Man's Chest.
Yeah, I personally think Dead Man's Chest is the best of the series. Although it is disappointing that it leads into The World's End.
Yeah, it's the movie where I feel like I aged like it's the movie Old while watching that movie.
Drake, you know what? You and me, we've come full circle, baby.
Yeah.
Because I was on your podcast when
when we were talking about
and I was defending At World's End is still the best of the sequels of how batshit insane it is.
You know what? I would
like it if it wasn't so slowly paced.
I think I'm overdue for a Pirates trilogy rewatch.
Oh, I will gladly join in on that, and I will promise not to nitpick it going, why is it 1730? Why is that pirate doing this? Why is he talking like that? I promise I won't do that.
Yeah, I haven't watched those movies in forever. I would definitely be in on that.
Although if we get to Pirates 4, I will openly point out, why is it the year 1745 and Blackbeard's still alive?
There will be many nitpicks to go along, but
Haylee, has any of what we've said, has that made you want to see this movie?
It makes me kind of want to watch Pirates of the Caribbean now.
It's
been a long time since I saw that, but for the way I'm thinking, for $30 or whatever for watching it on streaming, because I think it's doing that deal, not really.
Yeah, you know what? Fair enough. If the movie wanted to really impress me, it should have had a post-credit scene where, Emily Blunt's walking through London and walks into frickin' Captain Barbossa. Been like, yeah, I love this movie now.
See, that would have been interesting at least. But we move on now to David Lowery's The Green Knight. Which is an adaptation of the Arthurian poem written by Anonymous, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And this is, of course, it stars Dev Patel as Sir Gawain, King Arthur's headstrong nephew, who embarks on a daring quest to confront the Green Knight, a mysterious giant who appears at Camelot. Risking his head, he sets off on an epic adventure to prove himself before his family and court. Haylee, I'll start with you since you actually just saw this recently.
Yeah, last night recently. I don't know if I'm sure you want me to start this though, because the more I think about this, the more I did not like this movie.
Oh, come on!
Actually, that's a great place to start. I'm actually glad that now we have a more diverse set of opinions.
And I'll explain it, because I'm gonna say, even if you don't think you're gonna like this movie, this is absolutely one to see. Like, I was talking to my boyfriend last night about it, and I was like, I have no idea how I feel about this movie. but it needs to be seen on a big screen. It's gorgeous. It's one of the best looking movies I've ever seen. Like, on that level alone, it should be seen in a theater. When it's safe, obviously, not going to say risk your health to do this, but in the coming years, when I assume there's going to be re-showings of many movies that kind of skipped through this time period, definitely worth the watch on a large screen. But I had a real problem with, I'm trying to word this the right way because it's a very specific problem I have with this movie. And I think it's that there is a lot of symbolism and potential red herring meaning shoved into it that doesn't really amount to anything. So there's a lot going on in this movie. Symbolically, the script is very nothing, which is an Arthurian poem. Well, whatever, there's not a whole lot to go off of there. But that means there's a lot you can build off of. The symbolism that is built into the movie doesn't really go anywhere and doesn't do a whole lot to characterize any of the people we're following. Like, I think my biggest problem with this is we spend 2.5 hours following Gawain, and Dev Patel does amazing work trying to get us to connect with this man. But I don't feel like, one, I really understood why he was doing this the whole time. Why did he go on this journey? Like, we can say honor, but he doesn't seem particularly honorable. And when he's honorable and when he's not, very much fluctuates on a kind of unseen wire. He's not very consistent. So it makes a lot of the actual narrative choices he makes hard to understand and hard to sympathize with, I think. And a lot of his journey is couched in, there's Oedipal imagery, there's multiple deaths, there are things that are items that reoccur that disappear and then come back. He gets a bell from his suitor Essa at some point, and that bell disappears like 3 times, to the point where I thought this movie was a time travel movie. Like, I thought that was the key to understanding this whole movie, and it's not. All of the threads, they don't converge, but everything leads to a large 10-minute Last Temptation of Christ sort of sequence. We're okay with spoiling this, right? I'm realizing.
By the time this gets released, most people will have already seen.
Yeah, because most people I think will have seen it in the first week.
Yeah, I'm realizing I'm spoiling a lot, so I figured I would say that. But everything dovetails into a 10-minute Last Temptation of Christ sort of sequence where Gawain, kneeling in front of the Green Knight, thinks about how his life will be if he runs away from his destiny. And none of the recurring elements that have been set up in the symbolism to that point so far, besides the magical cum rag, which I'm going to talk about, because that was stupid and wild, play into that image, that vision. And for me, for something that is clearly building this large set piece, it needed to pull in all that stuff. We needed to get closure on his mother's purpose in sending him on this quest at that point. We needed closure on why the fox led him so far to the Green Knight and then turned around and was like, wait, no, you're not ready for this. We needed the closure on the bell and the fake out deaths and the time travel. The way it reads to me in thinking about it is that Lowery does an amazing job of creating these very spectacular visuals, very arresting. The sequence where the camera rotates around that square of trees, and Dev Patel is found, and it rotates around, and then you see him as a skeleton, and then it rotates back around, and it pulls us back through time to bring us back to the moment where he decides to fight for himself. That is one hell of a visual image, but all it does is muddle the story. And I think that's my main problem with this movie, is like, it's a lot of images in search of a put together story. And I know that's not the prevailing opinion on this movie. I'm very aware of that. But this movie, I left it confused, and then the more I thought about it, the more frustrated I got. I don't want to just bludgeon this thing and be mad about it. I'm not. There is a lot of good in it, and it's all in the visual, the sound design, the casting is really solid. It's a great movie for Alicia Vikander. The woman who played Winifred was also quite amazing. That was the best sequence of the movie. I wish the movie was more like that. But overall, this left me feeling quite deflated. Like I said, I think it was a lot of ideas in search of a singular thought line. And because it built to something that didn't fully incorporate all the ideas it had, it kind of came off lesser for it. The silence. Everyone's just like, oh God, that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
I was really prepared to gush over this movie, by the way.
Same.
You can
I
still
fucking love
gush.
this movie. I fucking loved it.
No, that's fine. Like the great thing about movies is they're all subjective. There's no objective.
True. That is
well,
true. But
this one is even more so because of its material, which I'm not going to get into the full history of the Arthurian legends, but I'll just put it as there's a lot of original stories, and then there were hundreds of smaller stories that were written centuries after the original ones were added, and they kind of come off like fan fiction occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love the way you describe that.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna create my own awesome knight character who's gonna be best friends with Arthur, and he's gonna go on this awesome quest with a giant monster. That's how it comes off sometimes, even though I know it's a lot more intelligent than that.
My name is Gawain, Darkness, Dementia, Ebony, Arthur.
Yeah, to be fair, that's also where it's like, was it Galahad or Lance? The story of the Holy Grail is also the same sort of story where it's here's this new knight and he's gonna save the kingdom by getting the Holy Grail. It's gonna be a great adventure. It's like, yeah. So these stories always had a lot of symbolism, and that's sometimes actually a little bit unclear because of how many hundreds of years it's been. So interpretation is very open.
And that's totally fair. I think just from my perspective, there was a lot of stuff that I don't want, and I also don't want my movies to be like a YouTube video that's like the Green Knight explained. That's not what I'm. I don't like here when people, but I'm like, I'm okay with symbolism that is very vague and could mean things. Like, also, I should note, even if you know the original story this is based on, this is both partially adaptation, but also partially a subversion. So
I've got questions about that we'll get into later.
Yeah, the ending is where it diverges the most.
Yeah, and that's fair. I tried very hard to separate it from what I knew of Arthurian legend, just be like, how do I feel about this as a film? Yeah, and I don't think it all adds up for me. But
Haylee, what was one particular image that you couldn't quite grasp?
I don't know about grasp, but I'm gonna go back to that bell that S gave him. Because
the bell, supposed to, like, she tells him, like, this is a symbol that you're a knight.
Right. So I'm going to explain why the bell
also could be the bell tolls for thee because it might end with his own death.
I mean, that's fair. But he loses that bell like 3 times to the point where I thought this movie was going in a completely different direction. And that's my problem with this movie.
It's also unabashedly magical focus, which is a thing that shows up in a lot of Arthurian legends too, where it just...
Were you confused about the part where he spends the night at Winifred's house?
No, it's not confusion so much as it felt like there were a lot of deliberately planted clues for things that didn't pan out.
Well, no, I think the parts where the parts that you're talking about, they were like independent of, like, they are the movie's thing. Like, the point is that they weren't trying to converge on the finale. Is that they were supposed to be more of state in and of themselves. I think if is what I'm saying making any sense?
Yeah, I do. It
No,
does.
I get what I definitely get what you're saying, and I think I think maybe I have a different set of expectations for what an episodic movie should do than some people. This movie partially reminded me of 1917, and this is going to sound really stupid, but like, hear me out.
Okay, I'm going to hear this.
But 1917 has something that does pull it all together, and it's just the fact that it's an endless tracking shot, right? Most of the things that happen in that movie are very episodic otherwise, but there's always a thorough thought line that pulls us through the entire plot and something driving us to the end of that movie.
It's also meant to be strictly a realistic depiction of World War One.
True, but I look at something like Patterson, which is also one of my favorite movies, and it's extremely episodic. But again, there is a thorough thought line throughout the entire movie, regardless of how magical realism or mundane realism, I guess, would be the more appropriate term for that movie. It gets.
I don't know. I could argue the movie is like that, because I thought it's all just a mediation on the concept of chivalry, destiny, masculinity, and the fallibility of mankind.
And that's totally fair, and I see those elements in it. I think it's just very confused with other things it presents. Like, I come back to the mother character a lot, because I will say for the first like half hour of this movie, up to where he beheads the Green Knight, I was incredibly here for it. Like, I was ready to see some Macbeth shit. I was ready to really dig into like the weird kind of the kind of weird time looping in the beginning, where it's like we saw him at the whorehouse and he was looking for his shoes, and then we moved back to when he went to the church with Essa, and then we go to it where his mom is and he still doesn't have his shoes, and I was like, okay, I'm really in for this. And then it just got really bogged down with a lot of kind of artistic flourishes that don't really pay off.
Well, they weren't really supposed to pay off, I thought.
And I mean, if they're not, that's great, but it just didn't work for me. I kind of felt the same way about the last episode of Loki. It's like, just let something pay off.
Oh,
I don't have to have all of my questions answered, but like,
I thought like the scenes in and of themselves were atmospheric enough where I got a grasp of what they were trying to say, though. Like, the thing is, I love this movie because it really pulled me in. Like, each scene was so atmospheric and just so it was presented it was an Arthurian legend that was stripped of like the romance, of the chivalry. Like, it captured that surrealness.
Because the era the poem was written was when everyone's like, oh yeah, chivalry, the greatness, and all that stuff. And I think nowadays we can kind of look back on that in a more pessimistic manner and go, the concept of chivalry kind of ridiculous. The idea of honor and war and that stuff. And this is our movies looking back on that, going, you keep building yourself up to something that is in of itself perhaps a bit pointless, but also you keep failing to reach that pointless goal yourself. So are you really the bravest knight of all?
No, and that's absolutely fair. I don't want to keep bogging it down with me like defending my viewpoint, because I think everybody gets where I'm coming from. They just don't agree with how it worked for them.
Would your opinion of this movie? Yeah. Would your opinion of this movie improve, Haylee, if you watch it a second time? You think?
I don't know.
Because I hated A Quiet Place Part 2 when I first saw it, but then like I watched it again, I thought, well, that was actually pretty good.
I don't know. I think I'm going to just projecting on my thoughts. I'm going to say probably not, because I think my central issue is not with anything in terms of not understanding things. It's with not understanding where Lowery wanted this narrative to go. It's with thinking that Lowery cluttered his vision with a lot of stuff.
I'm curious, what did you think of his previous movies?
I honestly am struggling to remember what they are. Actually,
a Ghost Story,
the Pete's Dragon remake.
Ghost Story.
Have you seen that one?
Pete's Dragon's remake is great. I have not seen a Ghost Story. Pete's Dragon remake
is like a lot closer to Ghost Story than Pete's Dragon.
Okay, and I knowing about a Ghost Story, I've heard about it. It's something I do want to watch. It's in my queue. But
it's the only one of his that I haven't seen, other than his first film, Ain't Them Bodies Saint.
Okay, I've seen that and I enjoyed that. So I don't think it's a Lowry issue so much as something in this movie just
I think
it did not
he
click with
balances
me.
between conventional and unconventional. Like the thing he did right after Ghost Story, which is a bit unconventional, was Old Man and the Gun, which is very conventional.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It wasn't too conventional for me. I thought The Old Man and the Gun.
Well,
Just
it's
the
more
way it
conventional than this,
like,
certainly.
It felt human. It felt like a deconstruction of that sort of movie, that role that Robert Redford is known for.
One thing I do want to ask you guys, and I don't want this to get confused with what I was saying, because this is a completely separate issue from the issues I have with the plot and the through line and stuff. Is this movie really hard to see?
No.
In portions?
Nah, I didn't think so. It wasn't like Solo, where it's like the film quality was like so blackened at times that I couldn't tell what's going on.
Okay, I think that would be the one thing to answer your question, Jacob, where I would want to see it again. I'm wondering if the projection where I was not great.
Perhaps.
Because there were certain scenes that were just, my eyes were straining to see what was going on, and it wasn't very often, and I didn't miss anything because of it. But there were some very dark sequences that would be one of the things where it's like, okay, I would like to re-see this maybe at an ArcLight or a stronger cinema that has better projection just in general.
I was gonna say, for that, I think it really does depend on the light, like the actual lighting of the screen, which is why when someone in a Facebook group asked like the same question, I basically said like I kind of give that aspect the benefit of the doubt, because I know like some theaters like they'll only light up their screens like about like roughly 60%. So something like that could happen where like the movie appears way too dark or too muted.
Yeah, and even with that, this was the most visually arresting movie I've seen since There Will Be Blood. That
is definitely kudos to the cinematographer.
Towering achievement in terms of visual, in terms of the set design, the costume, like all of that stuff. All of the technicals are impeccable on this film.
Drake, you've been awfully quiet. Like, is there anything you want to add to this? Like, if you want to respond to Haley's thoughts, or do you just want to give your own?
Yeah. To the chagrin of everyone else, I suppose, I do have to agree with a lot of Haley's criticisms. I wasn't wild.
No.
I was not crazy. I wasn't crazy about this movie. While I do agree it was beautifully shot, it reminded me a lot of Blade Runner 2049.
Good pull.
There wasn't a whole lot to enjoy outside of the cinematography. The storytelling was a little weak, and I understand that. I mean, basically, this is a story that's based on a story that was written before they knew how to structure stories. You know, like if you read anything before Shakespeare, I think if you read anything before Shakespeare, it just sucks.
I would say something like the Canterbury Tale certainly has a structure to it.
It does, but you know,
well,
not everything can be the Canterbury Tales or the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah. Well, actually, Epic Gilgamesh actually does have a very well-defined structure beginning.
That's what I'm saying. I will say the one exception. The Epic of Gilgamesh is a book I read in high school that I still read for enjoyment. Like, that was fun. Don't
remind me of the most amazing Reddit post I saw all week when they were talking about the announcement for the new Predator movie, where it's like, it's going to be in ancient Sumeria. And someone just said, wouldn't it be awesome if it's actually just an adaptation of Gilgamesh, but Gilgamesh has to fight the Predator, but thinks it's a god? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Okay.
Now I want that.
Okay.
Exactly.
I want that. And I would love if Lowry adapted the Epic of Gilgamesh. I feel like this visual style is perfect for something like that.
Or Beowulf.
But, sorry. I cut
do it over the Beowulf after the last one in like 2007.
Oh, I cut off though. Sorry. That was my bad.
It's okay.
No, it's fine. Also, just you guys know like Chekhov's gun, where you show a gun in the first act and it has to go off in the second act.
Yep.
This entire movie, you're showing an axe. You should at least show one beheading.
No,
like, I get the beheading is obliged. It like I understand that it's going to happen, but I would like to see something.
Well, there's multiple allusions to like when he's talking with that one saint who's decapitated.
Mm-hmm. But yes, but I don't know. The entire movie, it kept teasing at some kind of action happening, and I understand that it's A24, but they could have at least thrown in one action scene. I don't think it would have hurt the movie at all.
I don't know. I just
there's
thought
not actually
the
really
dialogue...
action in the actual original story either. In fact, hilariously, the movie does the same thing that the actual original story short poem goes, which is after the incident with the Green Knight. In the poem, it just says like, "And many adventures were had, and a year went by way too fast." And then the movie basically does the same thing. That's a part where I thought they were going to fill that out too, but I'm like, no, that's actually just straight from the poem.
That I did like.
Oh, I did too.
What did you think about the conversation that Gawain was having with the lady and the Lord, Joel Edgerton? How they're talking about why the night is green, and they suggest that it's actually it's symbolic of nature, and it's like nature. And I think what they're saying is like once you cut down a tree, that nature sort of takes vengeance, and it grows back and it grows over your grave. I thought that was like, I think like the ending where Gawain was accepting his fate. I think he was just accepting that he accepts to be beheaded basically. And that is kind of like a symbolic just like of real honor is accepting your death basically. And I think that's what that movie was going for.
I thought it was more of an accepting of who he really is. Like, there's a weird comparison here, but it reminds me a lot of the 1959 Audrey Hepburn movie, A Nun Story, which you could boil down to is the story of someone trying to convince themselves there's something of which they are not, and eventually coming to the conclusion that they just can't be the thing they want to be.
I really like that parallel. That's making me laugh because I'm like, oh, I loved that movie. But I agree with that, and I think in that scene, if that same kind of energy and devotion to weaving the theme into the scene had carried through the whole movie, I would have loved it. Also, that's going to be Alicia Vikander's Oscar clip, right? Like, it's one of the best scenes I've seen.
Don't even know what the Oscars are even going to be next year at this rate.
That's fair. But this will be like the thing.
I can see Dev Patel nominated.
Gets her in there.
I hope Dev Patel is nominated because I do think
the cinematography has to be nominated too.
Oh, that one absolutely.
Yeah, but and in terms of acting, like I said, I wasn't super sold on this, but Dev Patel is acting his ass off. Yes. I don't like this is extremely impressive. The fact that I was as invested as I was while watching it was because of him. I also want to give a shout out to whoever played that asshole kid. That asshole kid.
Barry Keoghan.
Great.
Yeah, Barry Keoghan.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy.
Yes.
I know who that guy is.
He was great. I was like,
have you seen him in To Kill a Sacred Deer?
He's also in Dunkirk.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen him in Dunkirk, and I couldn't remember his name. I have not watched The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
He would make a great Joker. Does anyone else agree?
I can see that. I can see it, especially in a Batman universe where
he's gonna be playing like I think a cop in the Batman, so that's not really possible, unfortunately.
I will also say I have to give special thanks to I'm so happy they picked Ralph Ineson to be the voice of the Green Knight because God bless that man has a voice.
He was absolutely fantastic.
Yes, he's actually good at playing morally complicated, imposing figures. Ever since I first saw him, I think in like the old Assassin's Creed game where he played Charles Vane the pirate. He's just a great actor.
He is. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Okay. Should I mention the ending of the poem because that's the most dramatic change? Because the poem's episodic too, and has stuff like where he goes to the the house and there's temptation, and she looks like someone that he knows, and all that's in the poem. But the ending, that goes in some different directions.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that's the one like deviation that that I knew about before I saw the film, and even thinking about it like as I saw it the second time, But by the way, although I understand exactly where Haylee is coming from, I kind of agree with Jacob that I love this movie. It's not in my top 5. It's definitely my top 10 of the year.
I wouldn't know where to rank mine, but I definitely liked it a lot.
I've not seen a lot of movies, but this is number 1 on virtue of the fact that I've only seen like 3 movies. So it's
fair enough.
It's decent.
Yeah. Yeah, the ending of the poem is actually the poem has less ambiguity in its ending, despite having a lot of symbolism, just like the movie. Because the poem, there really is no Green Knight. It's like an illusion that was created by Morgan Le Fay to actually give Arthur's wife a heart attack from the terror of watching this man get decapitated. It's not
okay, but if the movie had ended like that, this would have been my favorite movie probably in the past 5 years.
He doesn't run away. He kind of flinches, and then he takes the axe and he nicks his neck because it was never meant to actually be a fatal blow. And then he goes, "Well, you failed your test, but I guess you're still braver than anyone else who bothered." And then he just disappears, and then he goes back home, and everyone's like, "Well, Sir Gawain, you tried and you failed, but we still respect you, and here's this green belt that we will wear in your honor." The end.
Okay, but I would have loved that.
So yeah, the ending is a subversion that then leads into a happy ending. In this one, the subversion is unsubverted, and it becomes ambiguous.
Now I'm upset that I didn't get that.
To me, this movie was fundamentally about the journey than the destination.
Well, yeah.
It totally is
That's fair. That's
a journey film.
Also, both the poem and the movie do definitely play up. Is this gonna end the way you think it is? And in the movie, it does, and in the poem, it doesn't. Because the Gawain's gotta live on long enough to get stabbed by Mordred in the final battle.
So, interesting fact about the film versus the poem. In the film, Gawain's mother is kind of an amalgamation of Gawain's actual mother and Morgan Le Fay.
Yes.
So that's kind of part of the reason why it gets kind of muddled when you see Gawain's mother, like, I guess, summoning the Green Knight.
Yeah, it was like because like he would start off, drinking and sleeping around.
I truly still do not understand why she would do that to her son. Like,
I think
because
it's a test.
You're not really supposed to understand, because people back then, because honor was so important to these people, that this was like the kick in the pants that he needed.
And I mean, I get that, but I don't think we got enough characterization of her or him to understand why she would be pushed to that level of extreme meddling. I think a lot of this is like, I needed like 2 or 3 scenes of actual character development and less just wandering around in a forest and experiencing stuff. Like, this movie is 2.5 hours long. I've seen art house movies that are 4 or 5 hours long. They could have thrown some more stuff in there to flesh this out.
The critique
Everyone
about
is silent again.
the critique about so the critique about more character development and less wandering almost makes me curious how the original cut of this movie would have played. So before 2020 happened, this movie was supposed to premiere at South by Southwest, but was like a completely different version that David Lowery hated. I guess it was like faster, more action oriented. So once that event shut down, he had more time to kind of retool it to the version that he wanted. And I'm just really curious how different the film would have played if we saw the original version in theaters.
I didn't even know there was another cut. That's intriguing.
Yeah, neither did I. That's interesting.
Yeah, I just learned about that like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't know that faster would have helped me with this, but it's interesting to think about. Maybe yeah, I've talked enough.
There's a little detail there's a little detail. Like you were bringing up like the fox that was trying to stop him from approaching the knight going to his chapel. Green Chapel. I think we actually do see a mural earlier of a fox being hunted by knights, and I think it's like magic that's making him talk, and I think that's kind of like it shows you just how much this fox is possessed by magic, because he's actually stopping this knight from dying. Basically, that's kind of so it's like sort of ironic in that sense,
I didn't think about that.
Am I just overreading it?
No, I didn't think about that. The idea that the fox isn't deliberately trying to lead him, but it's just trying to do just enough to save him. That's interesting. I'll have to muse on that.
Or maybe, and the reason why I was following him was because, so like he figured that, like for all the distance between him and the chapel, that Gawain wouldn't really listen to it, but from maybe he thought that if he was closer to it, then he would listen to the fox, like after all that he went through. And also, you gotta love the movie explicitly says like red is like a symbol for lust, and when Winifred, when she asks Gawain to get her head that was at the bottom of the lake, and when he plunges into the water, it's like red, implying that he was doing this out of lust, basically.
Yes, the movie is very color coded.
Yes.
I really liked the use of color in this movie. It was very, very well done.
Oh, by the way, I'm just double checking here out of curiosity. There's like an Arthurian historian that's going on about, oh yes, the fox, it's a representation of an animal that uses unlikely tactics to avoid death, paralleling the fact that Gawain is not exactly being the most honest when it comes to his quest. Fair enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought that was
makes
just
sense.
apparent from looking at Gawain. Yeah.
Who also I have to bring up, everyone's talking about, man, Dev Patel's so handsome in this movie. It's like, it's distracting. Like,
God,
no,
it is distracting.
If you read the poem, the character is literally described as being the most handsome person in like the round table. So no, that's just living up to the story.
Honestly, I gotta point out, someone else point
part.
out, I've heard that the round table in this movie kind of resembles the Criterion logo.
A little bit.
A little bit
of a subliminal message,
It's a C. It's a half circle.
Well, I'm sure this will get a Criterion release very soon.
I mean, yeah, it'll be on a Criterion collection when I buy it for my children. Yeah, for sure.
Well, it could be like the Irishman and get a release within a year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's going to be in print for a very long time.
Well, yes.
Like this, part of the reason I feel
I'll just give you an example off the top of my head.
criticizing
This character is usually casted with handsome actors. Like in Excalibur, Sir Gawain was played by Liam Neeson in his prime.
Wow.
So, like, I don't really. No, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just used to like these kind of meandering stories where character development isn't the main priority for the writing for it. Maybe I just have a bias for that. Maybe like that's just I'm just very partial to that sort of storytelling. So
Yeah, not every story needs to have character development to work.
It depends.
No, yeah,
it depends
not
on the story.
necessarily. I thought this was like one where it was giving the legend enough of a fairy tale aspect, like a bunch of a surrealist aspect where it kind of worked the same way movies like 2001: A Space Odyssey worked. I don't know. I feel like we're just gonna have to agree or disagree on this one.
No, it's okay because I definitely want to hear why people really like this movie. And I don't mean this in a mean way at all, because I think it eluded me completely. So
Well,
I like hearing about what is grabbing people about it.
I'll call it the Vivitch syndrome of some people going, oh, I love the symbolism, the pacing and everything. And some people going, it's too slow.
Yeah, I didn't think it was too slow.
Oh no, I've seen that's a common critique for some people is that the pacing is a problem.
Yeah.
Also,
it's a common critique with a lot of A24 movies. Where
That's an A24 thing in general, yeah.
Two actors from The Witch were actually in this movie.
Yes, they were. Ralph Ineson, who was the father in that.
Mm-hmm. And I will say this is about as
the
well
Queen
paced as it
also.
could have been.
Yes,
She was great.
Who was also
Kat Dickey.
Mm-hmm.
Kate Dickey.
Yes, who was also from Game of Thrones.
Wow.
Of course she was.
Incredible.
Yeah, that was Lysa Arryn.
She was
What about
incredible.
the part where she was reading that letter and it was just like that part in Lord of the Rings with Galadriel?
Actually, funny parallel. Her character is the one that has like the kind of creepy, semi-quasi incestuous relationship with her son in the show, and then there's a little bit of that in here too.
There is, and yeah, the Oedipal themes I think are. This is gonna sound awful when I say it, but the Oedipal themes between like Gawain and his mother and Arthur's wife are the things I really wish had been developed more. Well, because they were very weirdly intriguing and like the things that they felt like they should be full plot hooks to me.
They're also not from the poem, so it's new stuff to develop.
Yeah, exactly. But like when Arthur's wife, when in the beginning when they're talking about how Gawain has not proven himself, and she's like, yet, I was all, oh yeah, I'm ready for this. And then she didn't do like anything for the rest of the movie. I was like, oh damn it, I loved her.
She was great for one line.
And the letter reading, which I know was partially obviously audio modulation created and whatnot, but that was some impressive facial work.
You still need to have like, you still have to do like the face acting for that scene, and I thought she nailed it.
Right, and we haven't really talked about the score for this movie, and the score for this movie is extremely well done. I think like
it's
the ideal.
It's such a shame, Haylee, that you didn't like this more because it has so much good stuff that you like.
I know.
That's just crushing to me.
It has all of the. I think that's why it frustrates me so much, is because it has so many parts of things that I enjoy. Like there was a very, like the opening sequence that was the bellowing about the story of the Green Knight and Gawain. Sorry, had a very. Not sure if y'all are familiar with her music, but Lingua Ignota is a prominent metal musician who released her Caligula, I want to say 2019. It's a searing religious epic.
Yeah, Caligula, speaking of incest again.
I'm going to go back to that.
It's a hard listen, like a hard listen to the point where I had the chance to see her live and didn't, because I didn't think I'd be able to handle it. But very gothic, dramatic metal atmosphere to a lot of the orchestral pieces in this movie. And the modern music that's integrated in the kind of modern shanty type music, the modern folk music, really fits very well with the atmosphere of this film. The music director and whoever wrote the score did a truly fantastic job of making it feel like it was part of that era.
That's Daniel Hart who did the score.
Yeah,
it's very solid.
Just like David Lowery, they've worked like practically every movie David Lowery's made, and he has range, man, as a composer.
He really does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was like, I think my nadir on movies that needed to be scored differently according to their time period and weren't is The Great Gatsby. It's the exact opposite of that, where it feels fresh and new and interesting without feeling jarringly out of historical context.
I really hope he ends up composing the score for Lowery's next film, which is Peter Pan and Wendy, because these two make such a great team.
But don't expect one certain song from the original Peter Pan to be in the
I know which one you're talking about, and
yes,
and yeah, we're not going to see that one anytime soon.
right.
God.
Well, some people at Disney still remember it. I still remember how shocked I was when I walked into a Disney fine art store in Las Vegas that actually was playing Disney music on loop, and eventually it landed on that song. I was just kind of smack bang like, really? Okay.
I know I've been negative on this, but I'm negative on this in like an art house negative, where like this is still better than a lot of things I've seen recently. Like this has a lot to pick apart and a lot worth seeing.
It has more of a soul than Jungle Cruise.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen Jungle Cruise, but I would assume, yeah. Well, this has more soul than Cruella, which was the last thing I saw. But
yeah, I'd also agree too.
And bars at the floor, but like it's worth seeing, even if you don't like it. Like I feel like the discussions we're having, these are good discussions. There's a lot to unpack with this movie, regardless of whether you enjoyed it or not. So
yeah, I definitely agree because like you, I didn't quite enjoy it, but something about it does make me interested in watching it again.
One of the reasons I saw this twice was just to, at the very least, just to confirm how I felt about it the first time. And the first time, you know, I really was taken aback by the visuals, by the score, by
the cinematography.
Pretty much all the performances.
To me, that's an example. This movie is an example of substance being in the style. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
I agree with that. So any final thoughts before we wrap this one up? I think this was a very balanced conversation. Like I'm happy that like it wasn't a case where we were either all on the same side or like we all didn't like the movie. There was a nice balance between the varying opinions.
So Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You can go first. Don't worry.
I was just gonna say, like, my favorite movie of all time is There Will Be Blood. Like, I saw that movie and it was almost like a religious experience. And The Green Knight reminds me a lot of it, and it just misses enough to be frustrating. Where I can see why people adore this, and I can see why it's gotten so much praise. But it's like it just doesn't stick the landing enough for me to be frustrating. And I think going back to Jacob's question to me, I think I would like to watch this again, maybe in a month or two, and see if rewatching it kind of helped without the expectations and without the hype and without me trying to piece out what the special thing of like what the twist is or what the special thing is about it. If I feel a little less frustrated with it.
Okay. Yeah, like when the pressure is taken off, then you can kind of revisit it with.
That's part of the reason why I didn't like A Quiet Place 2 when I first saw it.
I have not seen a single Quiet Place movie, and that is something I need to watch. But I agree with that. It's like it's funny because when I was actually in the theater, there were not a whole lot of people in there, but there was a group of teenagers there. And these teenagers were the most invested in a movie I have ever seen a group of teenagers be. And at the end of the movie, I heard a couple of them audibly talking about how that was the best movie they'd ever seen. And I desperately wanted to be agreeing with them. Like, wow, this movie is that nice. I know. I wish I had connected with a movie on that level. I really wish.
There's hope for humanity if teenagers can see a movie and go, "Wow."
No, it was. I was like, why are these teenagers here? But they were extremely respectful, and I'm always excited to see an unusual audience really like a movie, but like a audience that doesn't line up. I was like, how did these people even find out about this movie? But it was obvious that they weren't being sarcastic, that they were truly awed by this movie, and I really wanted to be on their level. But I'm excited to hear what I'm excited. Hopefully, since they're my neighborhood movie theater, maybe I'll see them in future A24 movies. Maybe I'll see them in future versions of There Will Be Blood or whatnot. But I really wish I had connected with this the way that a lot of people are connecting with it.
Fair enough. What I will say is that after watching this movie, it makes me wish that David Lowery would adapt the other great self-insert fan fiction of that millennium. I'd love it if he did Divine Comedies.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Oh, that would be so good.
Yeah, because it's a style of storytelling that does lend itself to a lot of stylistic choices, and it's not really character development either. It's just simply dude experiences hell, and then the middle ground, and then heaven, and then that's about the end of it. There's not really any character development.
Really been a proper adaptation of the Divine Comedy.
No, not really.
I don't think there has been. Yeah.
No, and
I think there was an anime film like about a decade ago that just kind of came and went.
I think you're referring to the one that was a tie-in for that Dante's Inferno video game.
Probably.
Yeah, pretty much no.
As soon as you went, there was an anime adaptation of the Divine Comedy. I was like, oh god.
And actually, there's a weird tie into Arthurian legends, because clearly the writer Dante Adehari thought these were real people, because one of the spirits that he finds in one of the lower portions of hell is supposed to be Mordred.
Oh.
Yeah, like Arthurian characters are just here.
Oh, anime.
It basically was anime. Actually, it was a nerd, a self-insert fan fiction by a history nerd. It's just simply, and then I walked by the spirit of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar and insert.
Oh god, it was Ready Player One for that time period.
It kind of was too, because the first person he interacts with is obviously Virgil, the poet, and then he meets there's Aristotle, there's Diogenes, there's all these famous Roman and Greek poets. He meets Homer. He's just there because he's not a Christian, but he's a cool guy. And then,
like a Bill and Ted movie in the Middle Ages.
Actually, kind of. Honestly, that one is the ultimate of self-insert fan fiction, and I want to see more of it. So yes, David Lowery, please do this.
Yes. Drake, your final thoughts?
I think I would have enjoyed the movie a lot more if I didn't see any trailers. That last trailer at least showed a lot of the cooler scenes with kind of hints at what other cool scenes are you going to see in this movie? Check it out. And then you watch the movie and it's like, oh, all the cool scenes were already in the trailer. That's great.
I didn't see any so that could be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. The giant scene, I would have been amazed by that if I hadn't already seen it in the trailer. If I hadn't seen the fox talking in the trailer, that would have been a great moment. But the trailer just kind of spoiled a lot of great moments for the movie. And the last thing I'll say is 2 reviews from my audience at the opening night showing. The guy behind me said, well, I didn't understand any of that. And the mom with the two teenage sons, she said, that might have been the worst movie I've ever seen.
Boo. Apparently Haylee got all the cool people.
I am very jealous of Haley's audience.
I am super envious. I wish I could have a teenage audience just kind of sit there and go, whoa, every movie I see.
I was truly shocked because they were eating up the Candyman trailer, and that was giving, as I said at the beginning, that was giving me a full-on panic attack, and they were like, yeah! I'm like, oh god, this is going to be the worst audience ever.
Man, I would have traded my audience I got from The Revenant for these kids in a heartbeat.
There is faith for the youth yet.
Yeah. Ironically enough, the 40-some-year-olds were all on their phones, and these kids were just going, yes, movie, yes.
Jacob, your final thoughts?
I thought The Green Knight was phenomenal. Maybe it's because I did hear some critics say that it was a little too much for them, in terms of symbolism and whatnot, but I honestly, it was never confusing enough for me maybe I was a little bit worried that it would be too heavy-handed for me. Maybe, or I don't know, maybe that was kind of what softened it for me. I'm willing to admit that, at least. Yeah, like it's impossible to go into a movie like to check out all of your biases, like to leave all your biases at the door. We all know that, of course. But like from versus like what I was afraid of, like I didn't see anything that was too much for me personally. Like even if there was, I didn't mind having a little bit of trying to do the hard work for myself. But I'm not saying that you guys can't handle it, Drake or Haylee. I'm not saying you guys can't, but I don't know, like maybe because it just sucked me in so much and so flawlessly that I was able to like approach the themes that they were bringing up, the ideas. I'm like, that's interesting. I never really thought of that. And you know what? It made me kind of question these ideas, just as much as the characters were. And that was just enough for me to be enthralled. And I loved seeing like this kind of worn out fairy tale done in like the way that its author probably intended. I gotta say, it's like, if this kind of storytelling existed, back then, I'm sure it would be something close to this. Like it's just, I love David Lowery as a filmmaker. I just really do. His movies just constantly enthrall me, no matter what he takes on, and I just love his work, man. And The Green Knight, it's easily my favorite movie of the year so far.
Like I said earlier, this isn't my number one of the year, but it's certainly in the top 10. I also think one thing we haven't mentioned, this is one of the greatest Christmas movies ever because the opening does take place during Christmas.
Oh, so Shane Black could have directed it.
Oh yeah, totally.
I will give it that.
But yeah, basically what Jacob said. This is a movie that is just kind of filled to the brim with like incredible visuals, terrific score, and Lowery is a filmmaker. He's if he's not my favorite, he's certainly one of the best filmmakers working today. He's one of those that I will see pretty much anything he does next and catch up on the ones that I haven't seen.
You gotta watch A Ghost Story.
Yes, I will. I am
going to watch that now. Yeah.
Also, I have to mention, I respect any movie that ends on a direct quote from the Queen of Hearts.
Yes, off with his head.
Exactly, and that's not from the poem, so that's just straight up. Yeah, let's just take from Alice in Wonderland. Or Resident Evil 8, because that also said that this year.
That's a great poll.
It's a good year for products saying off with your head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So after this episode, Marquee will be going on hiatus for a while. We've got a couple other exciting podcasts to look forward to, including a Renegade Cape special celebrating the Suicide Squad and all things DC. And of course, Haylee and I have more anime to watch for our summer anime preview.
Sigh.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to what I have to sit through. But
no offense, y'all, if you're listening, it's kind of a weak anime season. We'll make it fun, but it's a little weak.
We'll try our best. But until then, Haylee, where can everyone find you online or not find you?
As always, you cannot find me anywhere, but you can yell at me underneath the Facebook post about this podcast. My name's Haylee. Feel free to ask me how I deeply feel about this movie or any anime that I have maybe recently seen. I would say I enjoyed the Demon Slayer movie more than this. We can talk about that. No, I don't have a Twitter. Just find me on Facebook. I'm in the Renegade podcast group.
And Jacob, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Facebook and Twitter under General Crable, Krehbiel. I am also part of the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group, and I have my own letterboxd account, Streamin Demon.
And Drake?
You could find my trash cleanup videos on YouTube by searching Drake Burstra. That's Buurstra. Or you could also look up Spring Lake Cleanup Watershed or Watershed Cleanup. Yeah.
Nice.
And Tyler?
You can find me at Tyler Bio on Twitter. I'll be just talking random history nonsense with a couple history friends. Just this week, you'll find me talking about mummy corpses from Nevada in the early 1900s. And also you'll find me in a couple history discords like Cynical History and that sort of stuff. Just look history and you'll probably find me somewhere. Or just at me at Reddit about lesbian pirates, like apparently 3 people have already done. You know.
More on that later. You guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out all my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on Podchaser. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, check out renegadepopculture.com. You can escape, so do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Marquee. Thank you guys for joining, and we will catch you guys later. Peace out.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.